all the conversations going on before we begin our Wednesday workshop. I'd like to welcome everyone to our Wednesday workshop, and our program for today will be introducing you to the candidates for the North Carolina Retired School Personnel state offices that will be elected this spring and then take effect in July 1. And with that, I'd like to share my screen. Let's see if I can figure out how to do all of this. All right. Share. There we go. As you can see, we have the deadlines there that were set for this election, and the ones that are highlighted are dates that are already passed. Coming up this Thursday, Thursday week, is your last chance to opt out of receiving all this deluge of information about the candidates. So you should be receiving emails from NCAE, who is kind of operating the election process this year, so that you can opt out if you so choose. And then, of course, the election dates are down below that. I'd also like to bring your attention to a couple of websites. The election information I just shared with you comes from this particular link that you see here, that ends with elections. And then the candidate information, I will put this in the chat, is available to you so that you can see everybody who's running for office for all of the different regions, as well as the state offices and their profiles, and full of good information. Now, I have also included here, and I'm not going to read it to you because you can go read it for yourself, but it comes from Article 3, Section 3 of our bylaws, the duties of our officers. And we're going to start today by introducing our candidate for president. And I will go back to this is the actual webpage I was referring to. And at the top is our delegates candidates that you can go and review those profiles. I will not go through those today unless we have added time at the end. So we're going to start out with our candidate for president, which is Tama. And with that, Tama, I will turn it over to you, and I will mute myself.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. And I am Tama Bouncer, running for NCRSP president. And just for some background, I was born in North Carolina, grew up in Maryland. I attended UNC Greensboro, graduated in 1970. My first job teaching was in High Point City Schools. That was at that point there were the three school systems that have now become Guilford County. And so I was a music educator. I taught for 3 years and then went to graduate school for 2 years, finished the University of Oregon, and then taught in Maryland for 7 years. And I started in middle school or junior high school as a music educator, and then finished my career as an elementary music educator. Because when I came back to North Carolina, I was hired in 1987 in Wake County, and I retired from Wake County in 2014. I have been a member of NEA and the local associations the entire time that I worked. My mother was a teacher, and she was a member of the Maryland State Teachers Association at that time, that has now become their new name, but the Maryland State Education Association. And so I, excuse me, I was also a building rep when I was at Swift Creek, and then ran for president and, well, vice president. I was vice president, was the first full-time released vice president, and then I was full-time released president. Then my last 2 years, I taught at Hunter Elementary School, which is a magnet school, which was a different process, but it was good and enjoyed that. and then just moved my membership right over into NCRSP and Wake RSP. And at that time, Linda was president of Wake RSP, and then I ran to be vice president, had that experience, which was different, working with the programming for the meetings, and then ran for president in 2018. And then I've been president for Wake RSP since 2018. I have served on the NCRSP executive board and has also, currently a Region 5 director. And that experience is a little different because I wasn't sure what I was to do as a region director, but I had in mind what I thought needed to be done. And that was making sure that I was in contact on a regular basis with local presidents and found after COVID, then Vance County was the one that was not really up and going. They still had some officers, and I contacted the secretary of Vance and the treasurer and the vice president that at that time had let her membership go because she said that there were things that her life just kind of took over. So she was no longer serving that capacity. And with the assistance of the secretary and the treasurer, I also worked with them and we set up meetings. We had a meeting that fall to bring as many members together as possible so that we could get that unit were up and moving, and there wasn't anyone interested actually in serving in the capacity of president or vice president. Then we had another meeting in the spring to see about generating interest, and actually had more of the members attend the meeting in the spring than we had the meeting last September. And at that meeting, there was one individual who stepped up and said that she would serve as the president. And after she did that, there were other members who stepped into the other positions. So now they have officers, they're up and running. They met as their executive board and set up their schedule for meetings for the year. And anytime she has a question, and I let them know that if there are any questions, just ask me. Because if I don't know the answer, I will find them for you. As for NCRSP, I feel that we are such an important part of the lives of the retirees who are members, and that we have the ability and the capacity to reach out to others. Because one thing that is said that really it would help if it wasn't said is that people don't know who we are. They've never heard of us, and with our inability to go into the schools as we once were, then spreading the word gets a little more challenging, and also realizing that there are other organizations as well. I have been in touch with, contacted by two organizations that wanted me to join. They're retirees, but they don't want to do anything political. They just want to do things that are more social related. But our lives are so much impacted by everything that happens to us in the government, whether it is our local, state, or federal, that we have to be somehow connected with that. And we cannot just say, well, my time is up and I did what I could while I could, because we still have a voice. And whether it's making a phone call, writing a letter, or showing up, and it's getting that message out to our members so that they know how important that is. And that also that with the other committees that we have in which they on which they can serve, and giving the support that is needed so that members are not afraid or unwilling to serve in a capacity. We're not asking them to just give us their lives, but to serve on whatever committee it is, as a chair or even a member of the committee, because standing in front of a classroom, we all have leadership skills. And it's a matter of, are we willing to still put those skills to use? Retiring does not necessarily, for some of us, it doesn't mean that everything ends right there. I've worked my years, I'm done. But it's what can we do beyond that? Because life doesn't stop just because we retired. And it's getting that message across. And it I appreciate the work that NCRSP does. I appreciate the ones who are representatives on for their regions, because they are the voice of those locals and the work of the presidents. And it's working so that our presidents feel confident and that we can have those uncomfortable conversations if they're needed. And if something happens at the local level and it's unresolved, then they can move it up to the region level. If it isn't resolved there, or if there are some issues with it, then it's moved up to the state level. Because my personal feeling is, if I'm paying into an organization, then wherever it needs to go to be resolved, that's where the issue needs to be taken. And that we don't just kind of have to figure it out on our own. We have to be that support system for our members so that they know that we are there and will always be there for them. I've had the opportunity to attend over the course of a few years some of the region meetings. All of them are not done the same, and that's great because it's tailored to the membership. And that is what is important, is working with the membership, understanding what their needs are, and creating that balance. And I know that we have community service, because I was chair of that for several years. And with community service, it may not be doing a project every month, but you tailor that as well to the what your members can do. If it's one major project a year or one connection, then that is what you do. I've served as the convention chair for the past 4 or 5 years, and that is an experience that has allowed me also the opportunity to work with the various region directors. And that in itself is, and I do hope that it is very clear with me that when I say that, if you have a question, ask it. If you have a concern, let me know. And that I, I just let the committee know I don't micromanage. If I'm given a responsibility, and the individual who has either appointed me or the ones who have elected me to that responsibility, then on some level figure that I have the skill set needed to carry that out. And I would prefer that if someone is serving as the chair of a committee, that they meet with the committee, work out whatever the details are. If they have an issue or concern, that they would bring it to us, but not for anyone else to take over. I do hope that I will be able to, if elected, serve in this capacity, and that will help to bring to the forefront the things that will help us to be better at what we do as retirees, and also continue to gain the respect that we need as retirees. Thank you. Are there any questions for me? Don't be bashful.
You can put your questions in the chat as well. We'll move now to our candidate for vice president. And with that, Sandra, we have had a request to let the speaker have the full screen. So, Julia, I assume that's you that's posting the screen.
Sorry, this background, I think that Sandra wanted this background in there about,
Yes.
is
Thank
that true,
you.
Sandra? I could take
Yeah.
it off right now.
No, that's okay. That's very good. Good afternoon, everybody. Hope everybody's well. I am Sandra Hatley. I hope I don't have to really give an introduction, but I will give you my usual spill of my background. I'm a North Carolina girl, tried and true and forever. I never lived anywhere else. I've visited many places, but North Carolina is my home. I grew up in Cabarrus County, where I'm now in the process of moving back to. And I went to school and graduated from Mount Pleasant High. At Mount Pleasant, I was in the Future Teachers of America for my junior year. And so I have been part of NEA, NCAE ever since high school. And I'm proud of that. And I have held offices in all levels of our organizations to which we are all joined. I graduated from Western Carolina University in '69. I changed majors, so I had to go extra half a year to get everything crammed in. I am the first fully certified, or was the first fully certified special ed teacher employed in Burke County. And I went into that job fired up and fighting because back then, special ed children were the throwaways. And I don't like throwaways. I think everything has a reason and a purpose, and I'm going to see that that is fulfilled. I have held just about every office except for a state officer's office and all levels of NCAE, NEA, and local, and back then it was district, now it's region. I retired in 2011 after 42 and a half actual years of teaching. Didn't want to go out then because there were 2 children that were being almost thrown away. And I wanted to rescind my retirement just so I could be there to fight for them. But my principal promised, no, Sandra, go home and be with Lawton. I'll see that they're taken care of. And she did. She kept her word. Not every teacher understands the complexities of working with exceptional children because there's so much to it, so much work to it. But from once I retired, I just took on the mantle of retirees and the problems and challenges and joys that we face, that we have. And fight is what I have done. Tama was talking about Vance County. I can talk about Rutherford County for Region 1B. We fought for years and years trying to get the RSP unit started back up there. Thought we had it one time, but then some people passed away and it didn't carry through, so we went at it again, and it's going strong. Now we have only one unit left in 1B that is not up and running, and that is Avery County. And if elected vice president, I'm going to take with me the continued effort of trying to get that unit going, because I know the key to it, and maybe the key to what few others, I think there maybe 3 others or 4 others across the state that aren't working, is to get the actives going, because it's from the actives that we can glean our membership. That's one of my goals. My other goal is to try to resolve the issues that are in abundance between NCRSP and NCAE. I have tried my best to get the point across that our purpose doesn't run counter to NCAE's purpose. Our purpose is the final part of NCAE. Our purpose is to be the welcoming organization to help teachers as they retire, and to be the light to those teachers who yearn to be the type of teacher they dreamed of being when they first made that decision to go into a classroom. Folks, it is a fight that has to be fought. I do not intend to allow our pensions, our health care, or our respect to be kicked out the door, left in the cold, door locked, and we cannot enter. Everyone is to be considered important. I have continued to work actively with the local active units in Region 1B, and I will do that across the state if elected, because without an active NCAE that is done correctly, we will end up struggling more than we do now. Everyone, we are the organization that encompasses all of the retirees across North Carolina. We have people in every unit. But NCAE has pockets, and they have concentrated their efforts in those pockets. Therefore, when they go to the legislature, they can't say they represent all of North Carolina, because they don't. We do. But we also, because of that, and this is an argument I will stand on and die on, is the fact that we have to also carry the needs of the actives, because they don't represent the whole state. And they've got to see it. And I'm hoping with the new leadership that will be elected, this can occur. You cannot just run to the pile of sweet potatoes that's over here and let that pile of sweet potatoes that's over there rot. And that's what they've done. They've let their local units that are out in the rural areas languish, and the people are not happy. I'm not happy. My first responsibility is for us. My second responsibility is for the children. My third responsibility is for our active teachers and our future teachers. I would appreciate your vote, and please vote for my other team members here. I think we are going to be an awesome group. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra.
You're not, we can't hear you, Levita.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I had it unmuted again. Julia, you get the next 10 minutes as our candidate for secretary.
Oh, I
And
do. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought that Gretchen would go next. Thank you very much.
you're welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be part of this slate. As you know, we're very passionate. With me, you get someone who is enthused, passionate, completely driven about what I do. I was born and raised in California, but I immigrated from there to North Carolina. I wouldn't have been saved if I had not come to North Carolina. So I'm very grateful to the Lord for being here. Here as an English teacher, my students, I in high school, I taught the honors students and the very lowest level students who were challenged, because I could get the most out of both ends and get the kind of results that they wanted. But the best part of my teaching here was to be a speech and debate teacher. I wanted my kids from this rural small town tucked away corner down east to have children who were able to speak proudly, loudly, and powerfully anytime, anywhere, against other areas where they might feel intimidated because they came from small little places. And my students have won national championships, had state championships, thousands of dollars of scholarships that have made them bold, successful, and I'm very, very grateful for having played that part in their lives. With NCRSP, you may have noticed I'm pretty enthusiastic about whatever I do, and whether it be trying to organize an NCRSP choir and chorus, and that was so exciting and wonderful. Being able to assist Sister Joyce in doing the banquet and the recognitions last year, and getting to work with so many wonderful people who are just as passionate as I am about what needs to be done. And that means being included on legislative agenda so that retiree rights and needs are met, or at least put in the face of legislators. And that is protect and enhance health insurance care benefits, get a real COLA, and to actually extend the Bailey versus the state of North Carolina even into the generations that followed the teachers who retired in the 80s. And that means tax immunity. If they won't give us a COLA, a real COLA, and not just a supplement, at least give us tax immunity. And to have both, that would be the ideal. Other states, other places in the world realize the gift and the preciousness of teachers. And yet, in this part of the world, there doesn't exist that. And that needs to be changed. When I first got involved with NCRSP, it was because of my mentor, Kathy Nagel, and then I got to be taught and pulled along by the present leadership, and for that I am so grateful. The region directors, the other board members, the local presidents, getting involved with other retirees have taught me so much. For that reason too, when I saw a problem, I can't keep my nose out of it. And one of the first problems I did see was with our website back in 2023. And for that reason, instead of they're paying the thousands of dollars to redo the website or rescue it from its verge of collapse and crashing, I was able to make a website not for $12,000, but for $12. Instead of having to pay somebody wages or $90 or $70 an hour, whatever they wanted, I do it because I'm a volunteer. I was elected as secretary, and I consider that as part of my job of a secretary. I think that being part of a team means being able to pull together all of our talents, all of our time, all of our dedication for the good of our cause. And our cause is the retirees, the men and women who taught and brought up and helped boys and girls become men and women in their turn too. So I know that a lot of people didn't like the website at first, but NEAR recognized it as the best website in the previous year. In this last year, it won runner-up. I'm still going to put up, I hope that our website will be nominated again, because if you notice, the technology keeps on changing. And I didn't learn my best skills in digital life until after my 70s. I was well into my 70s before I started learning more and more about software. Anybody could learn more, and the older we get, the smarter and more capable we are because we're more mature. We're not so distracted by disco lights and going off and dating. So now we could sit down, learn more about computers, and bring it to life to the benefit of retirees, and that's been my passion. As far as my educational background. With me, you get 3 degrees from Stanford University. I have English honors and an education master's. I have an ECU MSA and 52 years of education, being a paralegal, doing social work. I was North Carolina's Baby Love Medicare Social Worker of the Year before I returned back to teaching. There's so many things that I could get passionate about. And you get my best work for the cost of your vote. You get my labor of love. Since 2024, I've done 75 hours and 28 minutes of meeting work and 1,025.9 website hours for free. I choose my battle to be for retirees and promise to hee haw tireless before you. Last year I called myself your donkey, and I promise that I will still be your web donkey because I consider it as part of the job. I want to be the work animal because you deserve the best. So I hope that you will vote for the tried and true slate of Bouncer, Hatley, Lamp, Thorne, and it's your proven dedicated leadership. And have I gone overtime yet?
2 minutes.
2 minutes, 2 minutes left. Okay, all right. For example, there's so much in technology that we could do that is so much fun to do, such as this, putting together our information for you, which is on our website that we have made, letting you know what we stand for, letting you know what I've done, because the reason why we're tried and true is because you've seen us perform. You've seen what we can do. You've seen what you get. And I hope that we'll continue to be able to make sweet history together. Come along with me. Join NCRSP. The best is yet to be. And on my website too, I have all my resume. I know it's tedious and boring, but I just want you to know it's there for you so that you could know even more things that you probably want to know about me is there for you. And we hope that you will choose us. Thank you very much.
I'm proud of you, Julia. You kept it to your 10 minutes
Okay.
with a little bit to spare.
Okay. Thank you.
Our candidate for treasurer is Gretchen Lamp. And Gretchen, it's all yours.
Okay, and I will share
Thank
that
you.
screen too.
I made a little slide presentation so I could try to keep it within the time period and make sense out of it at the same time.
Yes,
So I am the current treasurer of NCRSP. I was elected in 2024, and my name is Gretchen Lamp. And a lot of people ask is how did a language arts teacher become a numbers nerd? So I graduated from Bristol, Tennessee High School, just over the hill, the mountain, I guess you'd say, from where I live right now. And but I've lived all over probably the eastern portion of the United States, working for lots of different education associations. I tell folks that I either can't keep a job or maybe I'm in witness protection. I just haven't figured out which it is. Uh, so the next slide, Julia. So you just don't you don't normally think of language arts teachers being really into numbers. But when I was a teacher, I taught in Bristol, Tennessee, and I was a member of the Tennessee Education Association. I served as the vice president and the president of the BTEA. And going to summer conference, the TEA had a magnificent research program. And the folks there, a guy named Graham Greason, taught us how to do budget analysis. And I'm one of those folks, when you teach me something and you say, now y'all go home and do this, I did it. And what I did is I went back to Bristol, Tennessee, where I was teaching school, and I went down to the city clerk's office and I picked up 10 years worth of audits for the city of Bristol and started looking at the city budgets, because in Tennessee, if you are a school district within a county, the school district collects, the citizens pay two taxes. They pay one to the county, a school tax to the county, and a school tax to the city. And then once all the school taxes are in, they total up the total school population and figure out how much of the school taxes you get because of the number of students that you serve in your particular city. And you pay a city tax for the schools. Well, lo and behold, when I started looking at the budgets for the school district, I found out that for at least 7 years of those 10 years, they did not ever take in any of those taxes and use them for the schools, because they had underestimated the county tax by so many dollars that when the county taxes came in, like, and that they were over what they had budgeted for, then it made it up and they didn't have to worry about taking any city taxes. So the city's got to keep all the school tax. It never went to help the kids or the teachers in Bristol City schools. Wow. And I told people about it. To say I became probably not very popular with the superintendent of schools would probably be an understatement. Because I had exposed a lot of stuff that they didn't want anybody to know about. And because I also worked as a waitress at the Holiday Inn restaurant, and the mayor of the city and his buddies, including the superintendent of schools, used to meet together there every day for lunch at their lunch table. They were using those taxes to get their pet projects done. So I didn't get a whole lot of tips after that from that table. But it taught me that numbers are important. It taught me that how you make a budget and how you spend your money shows what your priorities are. And it was very concerning to me that our kids were not the priority. Then, while I was also in Tennessee, there was this guy named Lamar Alexander, and he was governor at the time. He became the Secretary of Education. But while he was governor of Tennessee, he decided we all should be on a career ladder. And to be on the career ladder, you had to earn all these points, and you had to have, it was a merit system and everything else. And so the Tennessee Education Association, I became one of their leading trainers to teach teachers how to get on the career ladder if that's what they wanted to do. So I traveled the state of Tennessee doing that professional development. I'd teach school all day and then travel every evening to some school system to teach teachers how to do the system. Everybody that I trained became an advanced career ladder teacher. But it taught me something. It taught me that numbers are important for budgets, that you can do anything you want to with statistics, and you can make numbers tell the story you want them to tell. Then I went to Kentucky. Kentucky, where I was the part of a UNICEF director. And then in 1991, I became their research director. And I also became a lobbyist to what they call an executive lobbyist to the governor's office, to the State Board of Education, to the Standards Board. And I was a legislative lobbyist to appropriations and revenue and to education. From that, Lord, did I learn about what money can do. Just like the case that you have here in North Carolina, Senator Rose versus Quality Schools was the case in Kentucky that said that when you don't have enough property that's worth anything, then you can't raise enough taxes to make your schools competitive with those folks who are sitting on some rich property. So they came up with a formula that helped to make those schools who didn't have what they needed to become more equalized. I spent then 13 years traveling 30,000 miles a year and 130 nights on the road in different school systems, teaching them how to do their own budget analysis, how to do their salary schedules, how to improve and get what they needed for their students. And not only get what they needed for their students, but make sure that our teachers got what they needed. Our custodians finally got paid what they needed, and our cafeteria workers. I mean, everybody who is working in a school system is working to make sure that our kids get educated and that they have the best experience possible so that they can go out and be successful citizens. So those experiences taught me that numbers matter. And then I went to Louisiana and I had a big fight with Exxon there over a $3 billion property that they owned in Baton Rouge that they weren't paying the East Baton Rouge school system any school taxes for. After we threatened a strike on Halloween, we were going to take out 6,000 employees. Exxon folded and decided to pay their school taxes. That was a good day. Okay, next one, please. Next slide. So why is it important now? Well, now I'm working as with you as your treasurer. And part of my job is to make sure that we maintain the integrity and due diligence over our members' dues, not only at the state level, but all the way down to the local level. Our members give us some pretty hard-earned money. Our retirees are not getting rich off of the retirement system here in North Carolina. Lord have mercy, when you don't have a COLA, then you don't, it's like when you have a salary schedule, you build your salary schedule so that you have steps so you can increase salaries each year. You also want to increase the salary schedule itself, because it's only in increasing the salary schedule that you get that double whammy of I get to go up a step for my experience, plus that salary schedule is growing with the cost of living. And there are folks sitting up there like Phil Berger who don't think that COLAs have anything to do with it. When I look at it, I'm pretty sure that they think a whole lot more of their corporations than they do of their citizens. They don't want to provide for the kids of North Carolina. They don't want to make our schools like they were under Governor Hunt when they were the top schools nearly in the nation, had more National Board certified teachers than almost anybody else in the whole wide world. And that's not right. And part of what I think is important is not only am I going to do due diligence about member dues and at both the state and local level, but I have a knowledge of state budgeting and tax structures that help to accomplish the NCRSP goals, which you can't see, I'm sorry, which are the COLA, maintaining a really good health insurance program for our retirees, which is absolutely essential, and making sure that we keep a sound public school system that our kids here in North Carolina, that our students deserve. Our students deserve the very best school system that we can offer. Our retirees deserve the very best retirement that we can offer because they put their life's blood into making the great citizens we have in North Carolina today. And is any our accomplishments? Another one.
Gretchen, I have to call time on you.
Okay.
I gave you a few more minutes, but
Thank you.
You need to close it up.
Okay. So if anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Lavita, you're muted. Lavita, you're muted. There you go.
I didn't think I had muted myself again, but maybe I did. I'm reading the first question from Joseph. What kind of relationship with NCAE, NEA does NCRSP currently have, and what do you plan to do to improve that relationship? Who would like to take on that question?
I'll take it.
Okay.
Thank you, Tama.
Okay, you're welcome. Currently, the relationship between, I would say, NCRSP and NCAE is, I guess, kind of tenuous at most or at best. There are some issues on which we disagree, and we will have to come to a meeting of the minds and look at how we actually fit with NCAE because we are retired. We are a retired organization. And our officers are volunteers. And we have a constitution. And because of some of the issues that have come forth, I looked at the constitution and bylaws for NEA and for NEA retired. And the word that kind of stuck out to me was that it needs to be compatible, not a mirror, but compatible. And so that I feel has to be kept in mind when looking at NCAE and the relationship with NCRSP. NCAE receives part of our dues money. And at this time, I'm not really sure how that benefits us. Because if they're receiving, I think it's maybe half, then that to me is a significant amount of funds. And there are some needs that we have that have not really been addressed. So in moving forward, it's just going to have, we just have to sit down and come to an agreement and be objective. It's business, it's not personal, but it's looking at what our relationship is, how we are looking at our members and how they look at their members, and how we can work together as the two organizations. And that is the key, how we can work together. But sometimes personalities do get in the way, and that has to be set aside because we can't move forward if I have feelings about whoever, and I'm not willing to say it isn't about that, but it's looking at what we realistically can do and how it does fit. We had to have an election twice last May, and there were members of ours who were really not happy about having to do that a second time. And a number of those positions were not even opposed, they were running unopposed. And I know about the one member, one vote, but where does NEA elect their officers? Do we get a ballot at the end of the RA in July to vote? That is done there at the Representative Assembly. And so we need to have some consistency across those lines or come to an agreement as to how we can do it. And I do hope that answers your question. But right now, we just have to see. We know in a way where we are now, but where we're going, that's where we have to go. We have to get to that place.
May I add a little to that with Tama?
Yes.
I am on the reapportionment committee with NCAE because the map that draws the lines for our region is having to be reviewed. And because of the membership efforts NCAE did in targeting their large metropolitan areas, has eroded the efforts of increasing membership in the rural and small suburban areas of our state. And trying to create an equitable map is a nightmare. And the ones that will suffer the most of this realignment is going to be the retirees. And I'm going to use some of that sailor language if I don't hold myself back. It'll be a cold day and a well that's really deep before I'm going to give in to that. Our map, as is currently designed, works extremely well for retirees, but it does not work at all for the current, understand my word, current reality of NCAE's membership. And we have got to figure out a way to make things work differently than what is happening right now. And I've got a meeting in a week or two where we will all get together in person and work on that particular issue. It's not that we don't like each other, we love each other. It's just that trying to meet the specific needs that each division has becomes contentious. And I want all of you to understand that.
Thank you. And I'd like to add just a little bit to that, in as much as this happened in Region 7B. We had two people who went to file for office who were denied the option to file initially because there was not an organized NCAE unit. So they basically were saying those people couldn't file for office, even though we have active NCRSP units in those areas. I mean, both of them are, by our standards in 7B, they're some of our larger locals. So it is, I'm glad to know that you're on that committee. I volunteered and didn't get a call, Sandra. So very happy to see that we are represented.
Yes, indeed.
Joseph, I believe Sandra answered most of your other questions. Would you like for any follow-up on any of those?
No, I don't have a follow-up. I'm concerned about the relationship that I've seen between the two organizations. And if you know about my business item that I proposed at the last convention, I want you to work together. I really do. Because when we do things together, you know what happens. We have a lot of power. And I'm hoping with the new MCA administration, as well as this team here of fired up people that I can see, you are some great people. You just have to work together, and I think we will be very powerful in the future if you do that. That's all I'm asking. I want you to, and I believe what Tamara said. Put your differences aside or your personal feelings aside, and do what's best for both organizations. And I think we'll come out of this with a, a very powerful organization. And I appreciate you guys running for office. Yeah, I know what it's like, and you're taking on lots of responsibility, and I appreciate that very much. And I'm sure all the retirees appreciate that. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, Joseph. I want you to know that I already have a personal relationship with the individuals who are running for office for NCAE. So it's not hopeless, honey. and I personally understand all the things that they're dealing with. And it's each of us bringing the concerns and some solutions. It's one thing to raise hell, it's another thing to recognize problems and come together with solutions. And that's the way you make things work. Thank you, dear.
Okay, Gretchen, I see your hand up.
So is everybody aware? I got something yesterday that, is it from 6 to 8 tonight, that there's going to be a introduction of the candidates for NCAE offices
Yes.
that everyone can attend. So Joseph, if you didn't get that message, let's see if we can get something to you, because you might find it interesting to hear what those folks have to say this evening.
I already attended they had a candidates forum. I already attended that, but you sponsored earlier, I think last month or so. Yeah. I know what they're all about. And I'm just hoping you all work together. That's all I really like to see. Thank you.
Taima and I will be part of that.
Anyone else have any questions for any of our candidates? Well, hearing none, I want to thank you for participating today and showing your interest in our Wednesday workshops. Next month, we will have our Convention 101 with the infamous Roger Harris presenting on parliamentary procedure, who's always a delight. Always good to hear those reminders, Roger. And we will have Sherry Mullins presenting on the new business item so that we can get all prepared for our convention coming up at the end of March, where you'll get another chance to meet the candidates as well. And